One of the questions that usually comes at this time is the behavior piece. Part of my work is I consult with schools around kids with behavioral challenges, and I help them do things like functional behavioral assessments. Why do we think this kid is behaving this way? And then set up behavior support plans. And here's a call I never get. I never get the call that says, Rich, the plan's been up and humming for about 2 weeks. Can you come by, take a look at the data, and tell me what you think? That never happens. The call I get is, Rich, we're going to the school board, and we're going to have a manifestation hearing. That's the thing you have to do down south to throw a kid out of school who's disabled. And we're going to have a manifestation hearing because we're considering expulsion for Elwood. So I don't get called along the way. I only get called when it hits the fan. So in an RTI model for positive behavioral support is the same tenets are in place, that we have to monitor the kid's response to whatever supports we put in place. In your experience, how many behavior support plans that have been in place worked perfectly the first time you laid them up? No. That's the nature of these kids. They find the holes. We have to tweak it within days. So we need to be checking out to see and we have to find out if the intended effect is happening. We have to measure the behavior and see what we're getting. Remember those 19 schools I told you about who were nationally accredited sites regarding RTI? They said that the third thing they did for professional development was looking at behavior and positive behavioral supports, because once they figured out, it took them about 3 or 4 years to get all the stuff in place for all the educational supports, but you still had this group of kids, and we've seen these kids who their behavior was getting in the way of learning. So now they had to address that. Here's an example, I think, if it comes in, this is a youngster that I was consulting with who was adopted from Eastern Europe, all sorts of attachment issues. He had seen 6 psychiatrists. So how many diagnoses do you think you had? 6. Yeah, 6. I hope I don't get in trouble for this stuff. But he was a very challenging kid, and he had a wonderful teacher. And she was very intuitive. She said, let's just start small. I just want him to stop talking out during morning meeting. When you get on the floor of the circle and you have your greetings and all that. So we took baseline data, and we saw, oh yeah, he talks out a lot during morning meeting. So what we did was the teacher and this youngster sat down and they developed what I call the hairy eyeball. That means you talked out. She didn't want to say in front of the class, Elwood, you talked out. The hairy eyeball. And he had a little index card. And he had to put down a mark on the index card. And the whole notion being that I didn't believe that he even knew. He was so impulsive, he didn't even know how many times. So we wanted to get counting. And suppose someone were to tell you that when you're at the bar with them and you're chit-chatting, you touch your nose constantly. After they tell you that, what happens? Your hand goes in your pocket. You don't touch your nose anymore. So what's happening? So that was the first, and it worked. But part of it was, and all these plans, you also have there needs to be a reason in it. So this youngster lived in a very rural community, and what they agreed on is every day that he met his criteria, and that criteria changed as he improved, he would get a little index card to take home, and it had a rubber stamp of a fire engine on it. And his mother would put it on the fridge, and when he had 5 of those, he would get to go to the local, not local, it was a Walmart, fairly far away, and get to buy a junky toy. Not in his eyes junky, but... So